It's Sunday, March 13th here at the West End Gun Club. It is coincidentally the start of daylight savings time for 2022, and the sun didn't come out till a little bit before 7. Anyway, wasn't planning on coming out today, but I got some ammo in yesterday and a new scope the day prior. And there's a wind advisory today too, but I looked at the weather this morning when I woke up, and it looked pretty good. There's a wind advisory for later this morning, so let's go ahead and sneak it in while this wind is calm. And I do have some errands to run this morning, so I'm going to try to not really rush through this, but try to get my range session done efficiently to get this scope zeroed in and this ammo tested out. Anyway, I already got my rifle set up, targets out there. Go ahead and shoot, and then see how things go.
The feeling behind my eyes. You stood out 'cause you were in red. Then, against my intentions, I let you turn me violet instead. Summer high, met you in August. New York, back to my cold apartment. Distance sucks, but at least I'm still with you. White out skies, middle November. You and I, flights to wherever. I don't mind, as long as it's with you. As long as it's with you.
The new scope that I acquired that we're zeroing here this morning is the Athlon Optics Argos BTR Gen 2, 6-24. This is pretty much the competitor to, say, the Vortex Optics Diamondback Tactical 6-24. They're both in line in terms of price point. They both have similar features, I guess, although this Athlon does have a zero stop, which we'll get into in a few. But this is what we're zeroing in this morning. The reason why I purchased this scope, it's roughly a $400 scope. Give or take, depending on what vendor you go to, is because I need a loaner scope, kind of like a beater scope for people to use on a loaner rifle. And this is my CC455, and you've seen my previous vlogs when I acquired my second ZC527, my Z-Comp. I put my old Z-Comp on this gun. And I don't mind letting people use that, but the problem is the way I have the diopter set up, and I have the scope caps already put on and everything. In order for you to use this gun as a loaner or let someone borrow it and they have to adjust everything, you're gonna have to pull out the caps and everything just to adjust the diopter. And I figure, why don't I just go ahead and just get another scope that is just simpler to use, I guess. I mean, granted, the Z-Comp is simple to use, but I have the diopter just open. I'm not gonna have any caps on this thing, and you can just dial everything around as you need to and as you see fit. So this is kind of like gonna be set up just for people to use, right? And I think somebody had inquired recently that if they could borrow a gun until they figure out what gun to buy for NRL 22, and you know that this is kind of my idea here. I was actually debating to buy the Bergara BMR because there's a few of them in stock at local retailers. And after I thought about it, I looked at the feature set. I mean, it's nice. I mean, you can get a steel one for $500, but in the carbon fiber one for $650. But the only thing I don't like about the BMR is that it's using a proprietary stock because it's a proprietary action. It's not like a 700 action. And it does use a 700 trigger though, which is cool. The problem is you're stuck with that Bergara stock, which doesn't have like any sort of internal chassis, so it's not going to be rigid. And granted, if you want to have a loaner base class rifle, that's fine. But I figure, why not just get the Tikka T1X? Because you get the Tikka T1X, it's set up. So I mean, it's base class in itself, but then you can get any chassis that fits a Tikka to fit, the Tikka T3 action to fit that. So I'd rather just get the Tikka T1X. Unfortunately, the Tikka T1X is almost impossible to get because I've never seen one in stock anywhere in the past 12 to 16 months. So anyway, I'm not going to get the BMR. I just wanted to get that kind of just have a loaner rifle as well. But I figured the CZ455 that I have here is good enough for a loaner rifle. It should be pretty easy to use. The trigger is really light though, so it's just something that people need to understand when if they borrow this gun, they have to know how to use this trigger. Like definitely follow safe gun handling rules, but definitely got to follow safe stage protocols. And make sure your finger's not on the trigger till you're ready on target, things like that. Because this is a pretty light trigger because I have the CZ fly trigger on here, and I think it's well under a pound. Anyway, this is a scope. And I'm also at the same time playing around with the scope. I have this Eley club here, which I got from Bruno Shooter Supply, and some Eley semi-auto 22 Benchrest precision ammo here. So we're gonna try this ammo out in the 1022, and I'm probably gonna try this in the 1022 as well, the club, because it's actually shooting faster than I expected. I think this is only supposed to be around under 1085. feet per second. I thought the spec was. I don't even think they have it on the box. They have it on the side of the box? Yeah, they don't print it on the spec on the side of the box. I thought it was supposed to be 1085, but right now we're averaging 1119 out of a 16.5-inch CZ barrel. So it's a lot faster than I thought. It's not shooting as accurate as you would want it to, but it is high velocity, I guess, but standard velocity. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and push it out. I've got it zeroed in at 25. I kind of freaked out because when I put it in, bore sighted it, it was actually shooting high and it bottomed out. Like I couldn't dial low, but the way they set up the zero stop, it was kind of in the middle of the range, I think, because I was able to take the zero stop lever thing out and then dial the elevation down lower. So I've got it down where it needs to be for 25, and it should be equal to 50, but we'll go ahead and push it out, and I'll show a little bit more on the zero stop in a few. The Eley Club ammo in the 455 is giving me an average of 1109. The extreme spread is 97, which is insane. But you got to take into account we have some warm-up rounds in here to get the barrel seasoned. Standard deviation is 20.5. I probably should have reset the string after the first 10 rounds just to get a different ag, but I can just look at the numbers after the fact and I'll go trim out the first 10 and run the numbers myself. But if we look at this, with a grain of salt, we're looking at an 1109 average. It's kind of a little bit across the board here. It started slowing down. Like if you look at shots, well, I don't know, it's up and down. You're looking at 1090s, 1071 dropped, like low. It's hovering quite a bit. I mean, 1110, so it's got some huge spikes. I'm not sure why. But Eley Club definitely has some, looks like it has a pretty good extreme spread. Sorry, I don't want to do that yet. I can probably, like I said, I'll trim out the first 10 rounds to see if this ES changes, but this Eley Club ammo doesn't really shoot very well. So good thing I didn't buy too much of it. I only got 2 bricks. But yeah, it doesn't shoot very well in the 455. I think I have some SK rifle match. I'm probably going to go ahead and put through this CZ with this scope on here just so I can get it zeroed in with some decent ammo. As I mentioned earlier, I was going to show you the zero stop mechanism on the Athlon Argos BTR Gen 2, and try to angle this for you, maybe. Anyway, so I have the turret caps off. The top turret cap, it just comes straight off, and it has this little, I don't know what you want to call it, but there's just this ring, and there's this little divot right here that acts as the blocker to this deal right here. So when it's, you just kind of put it against that, and so it won't ever and then you tighten down the set screws, and that kind of acts as the zero stop for your turret. And it's simple enough to use. It's pretty, I don't know, I guess it's easy to manufacture a zero stop mechanism like this, so that's why they designed this one for the Argos, which is kind of an entry level scope. Anyway, I just took it off when I was so I can get more elevation down or whatever. So what I'm going to do now is set my zero stop to kind of be like 0.5 mils below. So I think what I'm going to have to do is, I have it set to 0. What I need to do is go ahead and put the turret cap back on, index the 0 mark, which you can't really see here, but I'm going to index the 0 mark to the back end. I'm going to go ahead and dial -5. That'll get me 0.5 down, lift the cap off, and then put the cap on back at 0. I'll just leave it there, but in the meantime, what I'm going to go ahead and do is put this little zero stop collar on here, if that's what you want to call it. And then if I can find my fix-it sticks here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and tighten down these set screws on here. Once I get that on there, you don't want to really use too much torque on these things. It is a 1.5 millimeter hex, which, sorry, here, I'm trying to manipulate around this camera. That's tight enough. You don't want to strip it. Oops, drop my bit. More thumbs today. Let's see here. Okay, that should be tight enough. Yeah. So now it's set. Then I'm gonna put the turret cap on at -0.5 rather. So if I show you here, maybe. Sorry, display. I don't know if it's going to focus for you. But as you can see here, I have it set to -0.5. That's going to be my zero stop. And then this is where the 0 is going to be for the 50 yards. And it'll stop at 0.5. But I'm going to go ahead and put this, I need to put the little locking deal back on, which is, sorry, not the locking deal, but the turret cover. Wherever I put that thing, it's around here somewhere. Here it is. Just this little turret cover, this little O-ring right there, and they just set that thing on there. Just out, thread it back on, and now it's locked into place with the scope at 0. So the scope's at the 0 mark, and I now have 0.5 underneath, and I should be able to now effectively not lose 0 during a match, because now you have a 0 stop there, which is pretty nice to have. It's always nice to have a 0 stop. I know NRL 22, it's not a huge deal that you don't have a 0 stop, but I still like to have one just to eliminate any errors, because if you accidentally dial your turret for some odd reason, like a full rev, which you'll never do in NRL 22 because you only have about 2 mils difference between 50 or 25 and 100 yards, but you never know. Things happen. Anyway, let me go ahead and just double check everything, and then I'll bust out the 1022. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start running through some of this Eley semi-auto 22 precision Benchrest ammo through the 1022, which has the Vortex Diamondback Tactical 6-24 on it. Not sure what to expect out of this. It did say it was going to be higher velocities. I think it's above 1100 feet per second, but we'll see. Although the first 10 rounds will be warm-up rounds, of course, because the barrel is relatively cold. But we'll go ahead and get her dialed in. Good news and bad news. Good news is the Eley semi-auto precision Benchrest ammo shoots very well from what I can see. If you look at this, we have a 10-shot aggregate. Standard deviation is only 3.8. 9-shot aggregate, standard deviation 5.6, 6.6. The bad news is, for some reason, this ammo has a failure to... For some reason, when I'm shooting this gun, it doesn't want to cock the sear for some reason. So it'll actually load the next round and then chamber it, but then for some reason it's not cocked, and I don't know why. So I need to figure that out. It's not a good thing. Obviously, having accurate ammo is worthless if the gun doesn't function. So have to figure that out. Want to do a quick target rundown. This is the CZ455 target with Eley club up top and then SK rifle match on the bottom. This is during the zeroing, because I was pretty much trying to zero the scope, the Athlon Argos BTR Gen 2. And the groups are not terrible. They're okay. Mostly these 3-shot groups, I'll show you 3-shot groups just to get on target. Or, sorry, not get on target, but this is 0. And they're decent 3-shot groups. Not all that great at 50 yards. This is okay. This is these are getting wild. But generally, it's kind of zeroed, right? And SK rifle match is equally so. Probably tighter than club, but I pretty much got the scope dialed in where I probably think it should be. These are 50-yard groups. This is just more along the lines trying to play around with the scope, but have the Athlon dialed in there. And then here's the 1022 target with semi-auto precision Benchrest. Sort of getting the first 10 rounds. Then here's another 5 and 5, another 10. And these are some. I was trying to do that function testing. I don't know why it was doing that failure to cock while still chambering. It's kind of weird. I fired 10 rounds. I fired actually 20 rounds without it happening, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But it's a weird condition with the 1022. Anyway, the Eley semi-auto precision Benchrest shoots pretty well. I mean, it's not terrible, and the SDs are incredibly good at like 5 or 6. And I did fire one 10-shot group with Eley club, and this is well within an inch at 50 yards. It could be, you'd want better, but I didn't even really try, and I shot this. I would say this is about 3/4 of an inch. But that's acceptable for me with this 1022 and Eley club. Now, since the club wasn't shooting all that great, I don't think in the CZ that I wanted to shoot, granted it shoots better than the 1022, I can use the club ammo in the 1022, and it shoots pretty well, and it shoots higher velocities too. But this I keep saying SK, this Eley semi-auto precision Benchrest, or Benchrest precision, I think it's pretty good stuff for the 1022, and I'm gonna hang on to this stuff. I might actually try to get some more just to have in the 1022 with this barrel, this Volk-Morsen barrel. All done shooting, I'm about to get out of here, but I want to wrap up this range vlog with my opinions of the Argos BTR Gen 2 6-24. Without overselling it, compared to the Diamondback Tactical 6-24, this is a far better scope. The Argos BTR Gen 2, I mean, number one, turrets are better. They click, they're not spongy like the Diamondback Tactical. Number two, you get a zero stop, which you don't get on the Diamondback Tactical. Number three, the magnification adjustment is smooth and easy to turn, unlike the Vortex Diamondback Tactical, which is similar to all my razors. It's just hard to move. And this one already has like a little bump for your throw lever, so you don't even, it's easy. It's great to use. Number four, the parallax, smooth, easy to adjust, unlike the Vortex, which has got a lot of tension to it. So 4 things there, way better than the Diamondback Tactical. I'm gonna say though, optically speaking, they're about equally crappy. I mean, if you own a Collis, a Z-Comp, a Night Force, even like the Loophole Mark Vs, right? These two scopes are just way below that. But together, they're the same. You compare them, they're about 50 yards. The clarity on paper, you're gonna like the print. The resolution is about the same. I really can't say much. For most people, it'll be fine. It's no big deal. But for me, I live with it. But when you're coming down from a Z comp, you're looking through these scopes. You're like, what is wrong with my eyes? Why does this not look right? It's just the way it is, and that's why you're spending $3,000 or $4,000 for a scope versus $400. Anyway, that being said, if you're asking me right now, which of these two scopes would I buy, the Diamondback Tech 6-24 or the Argos BTR Gen 2 6-24, hands down, get the Argos BTR Gen 2. I mean, it's way better. They're both equally in terms of specs, in terms of physical dimensions, I think. This might be a little shorter, the Argos. They're both 30mm tubes, 50mm objectives. But hands down, just get the Athlon. I mean, you get better turrets, zero stop, and easier tension, magnification, and parallax. As far as the ammo is concerned, the Eley Club didn't shoot as well as I'd hoped in the CZ. Shot a lot faster, well over 1,100 feet per second. Accuracy, once you look at it on paper up close, it's about a little bit worse than SK rifle match in this gun. It is what it is. But in the 10-22, the club shoots pretty good. You saw that I shot just a random 10-round group and it shot great. But that Eley semi-auto Benchrest precision ammo is incredible in this gun. SDs of 5 or 6, which is amazing in a semi-auto. I didn't think I could get 5 or 6 SDs. Unfortunately, I was having that weird malfunction though, where it had a failure to reset the sear. Fire a round, you eject the brass, it would chamber around, but it's not reset. Like the sear the hammer's still down. Don't know why. It did that like the first 30 rounds, but after that it stopped. So I'm not entirely sure what that malfunction is. Why would it be enough force to eject brass, chamber a new round, but not reset the sear? Something wrong with my trigger? I have no clue. Maybe I should tear it down, spray and clean it up, but it went away. But it's disconcerting, and that's kind of why semi-autos are so finicky, is because they got to deal with these malfunctions. I'd rather deal with a bolt gun. Anyway, I think that Eley, keep saying SK, the Eley semi-auto Benchrest precision. If you got a 10-22, you got to get some of that. I may order a couple more bricks just to have those because I think it's really good for this gun right now as it sits. But I kind of want to shoot more rounds through it just to see if the malfunctions are still there. But that semi-auto precision Benchrest ammo seems pretty good for this 10-22 that I have. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of my gear packed up and get out of here. The registrations for the March NRL 22 match have opened on Practice Corps as of yesterday. So if you're interested in shooting the NRL 22 match, it's going to be Sunday, March 27th here at the West End Gun Club. Definitely register for that, and I'll put the link for the registration in the video description. Definitely come out to shoot if you're interested in NRL 22. Anyway, that's it for today. March 13th, Sunday here at the West End Gun Club. Thanks for watching. See you in the next vlog.